Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and welcome to the first episode of a new series playing Grand Tactician the Civil War. I'm going to be doing a Union campaign with the 1861 start date. Grand Tactician, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the game, is a kind of a two-part game. You have the Grand Strategy level, where you manage your armies on a national level and your navy. You can recruit new units, build your armies, select national policies which can affect your economy, your industrialization, and diplomacy, as well as the size of your armies. The second part is a tactical game where your armies meet at any particular point and you fight a tactical battle on a pretty cool map. Zoomed out, it shows kind of the old-timey look of a Civil War battle map with the lines representing the units. Zoomed all the way in, you can see the actual units. So we are going to get started. For the benefit of the people that haven't seen this before, I'm going to leave in the little intro movie. Was made by Lionheart Films, which is pretty cool that a large studio like that would make a intro movie for a video game. So let's get started. We are going to pick the Union in 1861 right from the very beginning. I'm going to set the AI difficulty to hard, which may or may not be a mistake, but we will see how it goes. Now, sometimes these loading screens can take quite a bit of time, especially when you get up to, fielding armies of 60, 70,000 on each side. Now, if you're interested in watching my Confederate campaign, I'll link to that at the end of the episode. If you're new here and want to follow along through the Union campaign, make sure you hit the subscribe and you won't miss anything. Sure to be exciting. It's a very fun game to play. I enjoyed my Confederate campaign, so here we go.
Divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. Abraham Lincoln, June 16, 1858. Chapter 1. A House Divided. The American Civil War. Thousands upon thousands of Americans turned against one another. Brothers killing brothers. The bloodiest war America would see. One engulfing the young nation in a maelstrom. Tearing her apart. The Americans are no strangers to war. Declaring independence from their colonial masters, they fought long and hard for their freedom. To hold true that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But in this pursuit, where the Americans have a divine destiny to establish on Earth the moral dignity and salvation of man, war would be ever present. Fulfilling the manifest destiny calls for expansion. While pioneers cross the vast frontier, driving west in search of land and gold, the Native Americans find themselves pushed across the continent, killing and being killed, confined in ever-narrowing territories. Novel technology and engineering feats hasten the expansion westward. Canals connect the East Coast and Midwest, followed by railroads and telegraph wires only decades later, revolutionizing the flow of merchandise, news, and people. But not all became Americans voluntarily. Men, owned by other men, labor in shackles to feed an insatiable need for cotton and textile mills, bringing marvelous riches to some and comfortless lives to others. These tired, poor, huddled masses yearn to breathe free too, but instead are subject to crack of the whip. Equality and happiness, even life, are not reserved for all. Coming to mid-19th century, the ever-expanding nation is on a brink of rupture.
President Alec Baldwin.
Only a political compromise of 1850 diffuses the tensions between northern free states and southern slave states, but this merely delays the march on the road to the inevitable. I do not expect the house to fall. But I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all the other. But the foundation of the wavering house would turn out to be beyond repair. Soon, blue flags bearing single stars would mark this union, commencing a war that would leave its mark in the Americans for centuries to come.
Okay, so here we go. Not sure why it's way down in the corner like this, but here we go. Give a brief overview of what we have up here. For people who aren't familiar, this is the strategy section. Once war breaks out, you will see a list of objectives over here and whether or not they're completed. Confederate morale right now, their national morale is at 100%. If that drops below 25%, the war is over and you win. Over here it'll list the battles and other major happenings. Here's where you can manage your military. Right now we just have garrisons. We haven't built a military yet. I'll get into that very shortly. You can do fleets. We have the home squadron right now. You can make new fleets or add to an existing one from the ships in harbor. Didn't really do a whole lot with my navy in the last campaign. I'm going to do a little more this time, just because I can see how beneficial that is, and I'm sure the Confederates aren't just going to sit back and let the seas be controlled by no one. So my Confederate campaign, the Richmond area was blockaded the whole time, and I mean, never actually did anything about it. So, and this is our finances. I'm going to drop this down to 2. Starting off, I'm going to select 2 policies. After that, I'm going to go with 1, just because the more policies you have, the longer each policy takes to put into place. But right now, with no war, we can afford to take a little bit of time to get an extra policy. The production and the goods and trade are what I was talking about. It gives a whole lot of information here, and you don't really have any control over any of it, at least not that I'm aware of. Alright, so now, you can zoom in. These are telegraph stations. Telegraphs, something I didn't really focus on in my last campaign. It was my first campaign, so I was still learning, but telegraphs affect the time it takes your orders to get to your armies. If you want an army to move, say, from here to down here, the distance from that army to the commander with the telegraph lines shortens if you build telegraphs, so I may be working on that. You can move troops via railroad, so I may be building railroads. I haven't decided yet, so we are going to hit play and see what happens. America divided. President Buchanan unable to solve the crisis. Okay. When you have battles and stuff, this newspaper will pop up and give you some information. Okay. Jefferson Davis inaugurated. No, we haven't selected our policies yet, so I'm going to start with Military 1. That will allow us to recruit more soldiers. And because the credit rating that you have, which is up here, affects how many soldiers you, or whether or not you can recruit soldiers. If it drops below, I think, B rating into the C's, you can't recruit anymore. So I am going to work on that as well. Now, it did pretty much double the time it's going to take us to get these 2 policies, but I felt it's kind of important to get things started. Okay, so time is advancing. Not really sure if I can build armies right now, or if I can just recruit, or neither. These are the commanders that we have. If you notice, there's some that are way down here in rank, like Burnside's here as a colonel. Don Carlos Buell is a lieutenant colonel. We're going to promote some people right off the bat. Now, if you hover over the commander, it gives this little pop-up that tells their information. Fame, initiative, leadership, administrative skills, cunning, and pre-war experience. Okay. Now when you promote people, it does drop their stats a little bit. Like, see right now Ulysses S. Grant, who is a captain. If we promote him, it'll drop that a little bit. But Grant as a captain is just not going to work for me. Now, based on their stats here, like his fame is legendary. He's aggressive, distinguished leadership, and skilled administrator. You want him in charge of large groups. The administrator that is poor administrator has problems keeping his units in order. So, see if we can build an army yet. Recruit a new army. Looks like we can. Now this gives the totals of your volunteers. We have 30,000 volunteers currently. You could pull them from each individual state. I'm going to start by forming an army in Massachusetts. Or Maryland, sorry. Okay. Our first army is going to be commanded by... Let's see if we can... I think we're going to give a... Start out with these guys in charge of brigades, get their experience up a little bit. So our first army is going to be commanded by Joseph Hooker. And we are going to add a division. I'm kind of torn as to whether or not to put artillery in its own division, or two, maybe have 3 battalions of artillery in each division, or put them right in with the infantry. I think I may try both. So for the Army of the Potomac, I'm going to start by building my infantry with artillery, probably do 3 divisions of infantry and 1 division of cavalry. And then the next army that I build, I'm going to have the artillery all in its own division. So I'm going to pause here, build out my army, and get back when that's done. Okay, so what I've done here is I've got 2 divisions of infantry with 4 brigades each. Now the size of them are kind of small because that's what we're starting out with. Recruited from mostly the northeast region. Keep them from taking forever to get down here. 4 brigades of infantry and a battalion of artillery and a division of 3 cavalry brigades. So that is going to be the Army of the Potomac for now. So now we are going to recruit another army. We're going to recruit them in Pennsylvania. See who we can put in charge of this army. Unknown, passive, liked, mediocre, and foreseeable. He's inspiring. He's got inspiring leadership. Active, inspiring, master administrator. He's predictable, though. Joseph Mansfield. I think we're going to leave him as he is. Actually, we're going to replace him with this. Charles Sanford. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to build out infantry. This is the Army of the West. And I'm going to do 2 infantry divisions. Then I'm going to have artillery in its own separate division. We're going to see how that one works out. And then a division of cavalry. So I will get back to you shortly. Okay, so the Army of the West has 2 infantry divisions of 4 brigades each, an artillery division with 4 battalions, and a cavalry division with 4 brigades each. We're going to make one more army for now. We are getting kind of low on recruits, so what I want to do is I want to make one that's kind of out west, although it says it's going to be the Army of New England. Let's see who we can replace you with. I'm not seeing anybody. John Gibbon. He's an artillery officer. Ricketts. We're going to promote him up to colonel, but not replace just yet. Okay, so Burns is going to be our commander of the Army of New England. I'm going to form this up like I did the other army, with artillery in with the infantry. The artillery division on its own is kind of an experiment on my part, so I will get back and report to you when this army is fully formed. Okay, so the Army of New England. 4 divisions of infantry, 4 brigades each, with an artillery battalion, and a division of 4 cavalry brigades. I think I've got enough for maybe one more army, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add one more army. Out of Rhode Island, why not? Heard of this guy. Unknown, cautious, light, good administrator, predictable, and he was an infantry officer. We're going to promote Mansfield to Brigadier General and give him a brigade, but we're not going to have him in charge of the army just yet. So, once again, I will be right back when my army is done. Okay, so the Army of Maine consists of 2 divisions of 4 infantry battalions and a artillery brigade each. We kind of bled our reserve or our recruit pool dry doing this, so let's take a look at what we have so far. We've got the Army of the Potomac, which is in Baltimore, and we're going to pause this for a second. Oh, I guess it was paused. Monthly economic report, Union issues bonds. We'll get rid of these. Okay, the Army of the Potomac under Joseph Hooker is in Baltimore. Let's turn the supplies on here. See, I think they already are on. Movement arrows. Supplies, yep. Okay, the Army of the West is in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't think we can actually move these guys yet until war officially breaks out. The Army of New England is over here in Springfield, Massachusetts, and the Army of Maine is up here in Portland, so we're going to have to move them down quickly. For our Navy, we've got the home squadron here. What I can do is I can build a new fleet Let's see, where do we want to build a fleet? Chicago Harbor. Okay, now up in Chicago, I'm going to send riverboats down to... See, is there anything better than that? Seas... Okay. This is going to be a river squadron. So once they get done, they're going to be able to move down the river and help us out in that respect. I'm going to make a new fleet, and I'm going to do that in... Oh, let's see, someplace big, New London. We're going to build a fleet. Let's pick some big guns here. The New York, the Constitution, the Virginia. And then we'll pick some smaller ships. Mississippi. And the Pensacola. That'll be our Block Island Sound Squadron. And they've got, about 200 guns. Alright, so now we are going to advance time to the beginning of the war. Texas joins the Confederacy. It's going to speed things along pretty quick here. Davis calls for a militia. All right, Lincoln inaugurated 16th President of the United States. While all this is going on, let's take a look at the condition of our armies. Now it does take... Pause. Confederate States Army established. Pause. Okay. At least slow down a little bit. King Cotton 1 policy selected. Pause. I want to take a look at the armies and see the status of arriving troops. Alright, looks like they've got everybody that they can. Show our field armies here. Now the amount of time that it takes them to get to their assigned command is relevant to how far away they are. You recruited them. Like you see 16 days here. So if you build an army in Illinois and recruit from Illinois, it takes less time than if you build it in Illinois and recruit from Maine. So, okay. Speed this along a little bit. Supply situation at Fort Sumter critical. Wonder if we can recruit anyone else here. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, see, we pretty much bled dry. I guess we could throw together some cavalry, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. Beauregard issues ultimatum. Major Anderson refuses to surrender. So war is almost broken out. Fort Sumter surrenders.
This step, secession, once taken, can never be recalled. We and our posterity shall see our lovely South desolated by the demon of war. Alexander Stephens, Vice President of the Confederate States of America. Chapter 2. The Demon of War. The election of Abraham Lincoln, an anti-slavery Republican, as the 16th President of the United States was the last straw, triggering secession. One by one, Southern slave states declared secession from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, led by President Jefferson Davis. This secession ignited the inevitable escalation, with fruitless efforts to still find a political compromise falling on deaf ears. Advocates of armed insurrection and fire eaters roam the states with steel in their eyes, and the public is aroused to volunteer, to fill the ranks, to quell the rebellion, and to preserve the Union or to secure independence from it. Following open hostilities, President Lincoln's militia called for 75,000 volunteers for 3 months' service, sparks incredulous protest and loud outcry among the southern states. And these sparks set on fire the irreversible. More states secede. Now it's war. 75,000, 100,000, and even more. Soon, the largest armies seen on American soil muster, drill, and prepare for war. A war that is to be neat, short, and limited. The whole matter would be settled by Christmas. But a dark shadow would loom over the growing and inexperienced armies. Without a swift and decisive blow from the very offset of the war, there's every chance of a long, confused, and disorganizing civil war, and even foreign powers may feel a desire to take a hand therein. The time is ticking for the newborn Confederacy. The Union must act. The demon of war has awakened.
All right, so we are now at war. The American Civil War has started. Okay, we've got Confederate invasions going on here. We've got the Missouri State Guard with 2,000 men. And out here we've got the Department of the West under Harney. He's only got 1,500 men. Now you notice that we've got more armies just sort of showed up here. Okay, the Department of the West, Department of Ohio under McClellan, Department of Pennsylvania under Robert Patterson, Army of Northeast Virginia, the Army of the Potomac, and the Army of the West. Let's take a look at our situation as far as recruits go. Let's go into the Army of Northern Virginia. Who needs more men? Let's see if we can actually recruit more men. Oh yeah, we got lots of recruits to work with here. So we're going to be fleshing out our armies, our frontline armies. I'm going to save that for the next episode. I just wanted to get this series started, get it off the ground, move forward with the intro, I guess you could say. Next episode, we're going to be working on building our frontline armies here, and also moving the armies that we built down into the combat area down here. Now, if we take a look here, their national morale is 100%. We're at 94%, and here is our list of objectives. Break Confederate morale. That's down below 25%. Capture the capital of Richmond, Virginia. Win in CSA territory. Win a major battle. Maintain support above 60%. Let's see. Support. Capture forts and capture West Virginia. Cut the Confederacy in half, which is hold Memphis, Tennessee, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, New Orleans before 1864. So these are all the objectives. We don't have to complete all of the objectives. It's enough to get them down below 25% and you win the war. We're going to go for as many of these as we can. I think first and foremost is going to be capture West Virginia because we are right there. Let's see what we have out in the west, out here. Missouri State Guard, Department of the West. He's in desperate need of recruits. He's only got 1,500, so we're going to have to beef him up a little bit. We do have another army, the Army of the West, right here. So we will be sending them down once they get their full complement in 2 days. Policies. We've got 13 days until these 2 policies are in place. Then I'm probably going to go with Militia Act. That'll give us units for 3 months, followed by the Militia Act 2. That'll give us units for a year. Like I said, that'll be for the next episode. Once we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the game and the war. If you like this episode, you can do me a favor and hit the like button. That'll help the channel out, and the more likes I get, the more visible on YouTube this series will become. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, your tips and advice. As always, hope to see some familiar faces in the comments. Like I said, I will link to the full playlist for the Confederate campaign. I'll do that right there. And in the middle there's a subscribe button if you want to join us for the Union campaign. Click on that and you won't miss anything going forward. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today. As always, J76NY saying thank you very much for watching and have yourself a very good day.